Hi there, I'm Dan, and in this little video clip I want to go through with you what Google, Amazon, Starbucks and other multinationals have in common and what do they have to do with getting revenge. So let's start at the beginning. Quite simply, what is it they got in common? You know, look at the press recently, the very high profile cases and court cases and things. These companies and others have one thing in common, and that is tax avoidance. Okay, I'm not going to go here about the merits of, you know, of what they're doing. Is it right? Is it wrong? Or whatever. Each to their own, and things will come out in time. However, what I am going to say is that there is such public revulsion to these companies that are making millions upon millions of pounds and dollars and euros and yen, and they pay as little tax as humanly possible. And the thing is, it's not just companies. Okay, there are individuals here. For those of you over here in the UK, you'll know about the scandal surrounding Jimmy Carr, a very funny comedian as it happens, who used a perfectly legal loophole to avoid paying tax. However, Jimmy, it wasn't the only UK celebrity to do this. Gary Barlow from Take That, if you remember that group, he actually paid even less tax than Jimmy Carr. But Gary is a bit of a darling as far as the press are concerned, and so it was kind of Jimmy that took the flak for everyone. But I'm kind of digressing here. You'll have to avoid me, forgive me for that. I do it quite often. The thing is, tax avoidance is wrong, and people's reaction to it is justifiable. It's one of disgust. You know, laughably, even those who avoid tax will be disgusted with others that do the same sort of thing. You know, go figure. So, what's this got to do with revenge? Well, quite simply, what we suggest you do is we harness the power and the people's reactions to this public hatred for tax avoiders, and turn it against your ex, or your neighbour, or whoever else you want to get sort of revenge on. You know, so why not, for example, just let your neighbours, your ex's neighbours, know that your ex hasn't paid tax for years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. You know, exposing them as a tax cheat or any sort of public benefit cheat, you know, social security cheat, to those in their neighbourhood or the social circle they belong in, you know, will ensure that they are very quickly ostracised from that group. And if you're really lucky, these people will take matters into their own hands and deal out justice in another way. Now, this will work beautifully if your ex has recently moved house, or they've purchased a new car, or they've gone on holiday, or if they've done renovation work at home, anything that involves any sort of expenditure of money. But if they haven't done that, if they've not done any of those things, it's still possible to create this hatred around your ex, because people will believe the worst in each other. So, you know, no one likes a tax cheat. No one likes a cheat of any sort. And, you know, as honest citizens that we are, it is our public duty to expose these people for the tax cheats that they are. You know, everyone who avoids paying their tax should be outed. Companies, individuals, and your ex. So how do you go about doing this? Well, there's two things you can do. Firstly, and very simply and anonymously, you can whistleblow to the tax authorities. You know, whatever country you are, the tax authorities all tend to have a hotline where you can sort of say, my neighbour, my ex, Fred Blogs, isn't paying their tax, and give them enough information. You haven't got to give your own details across. They will take, you know, anonymous tips. So if you do that, it's worth a call. Make sure you withhold caller ID before you do it, but hey ho, you know, that's just sort of common sense. Secondly, though, which is a little bit more hands-on, is you can create a letter. Very simply on your word processor right now, type a few lines and mail it to all of their neighbours. For example, it could be a leaflet or postcards. You know, for example, something along the lines of, you know, hey, you know, John Doe, he lives at number 124, you know, down the road to you. Well, we think you should know that in the past 3 years he's not paid any income tax, and in fact he's such a tax cheat he even shows other people how to do it. How else do you think you can afford that new car, those home renovations, all those vacations? You know, simple, hard-working, honest people like us, and, you know, are paying more in tax than we should have to, purely because he, John Doe, at a number 124, refuses to pay his fair share. Okay, something along those lines. I know I quickly rambled that, but in my head sort of going 100 miles an hour. Just print it, a few letters, and all you got to do is post it. Simply send it to their neighbours or their business competitors, which is always a good one. And even if you don't know who lives at the neighbour's house, because you're not going to know everybody in the street, it doesn't matter. You just put, to the occupier. So for example, if your ex lives at number 124, then I suggest you start at number 100 and then go up to number 150. And you can put to the occupier, number 100, any street, any town, postcode, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now the trick here is to put a stamp on the letter. Okay. If it's addressed to just the occupier and it's franked mail, people will know that it's sort of junk mail and will tend to ignore it. But if you put a stamp on it, sort of thing you buy from the post office. I only said that because in certain countries they're not called stamps. As long as it has a stamp on it, a real stamp, then people will open it and they will read it. Okay, at that point, all you got to do is let mob rule take over. They will be ostracised. They will have comeuppance against them. People will take the law into their own hands. They will reject them from their sort of social circles or their neighbourhood or anything like that. And why stop just sending 50 letters out? Send out 100 for the cost of a stamp and a few pieces of paper and a few envelopes and what? An hour, hour and a half of your time. You can really expose your ex. Because you see, as humans, we are so willing to believe the bad in everyone else that that's all we have to do. Public reaction to this tax evasion, this hot topic, if you like. Your public notice doing the justifiable thing, the rightful thing to expose these people. You're doing the community a favour because your ex or your neighbour, whoever, they are cheating everybody from tax. So it's simple. Just let the mob take over and just carry on, piggyback on the revulsion that Google and so on have created. Okay, this was my first video, hence I've rambled a little bit. I do apologise. It's a little bit weird talking to yourself on a video camera, but I'm sure as time goes on, I'll get better and better at this. All right. If you need any help, any more suggestions, then please do come to our site, www.getrevengeonyourx.com or our sister site, mastersofrevenge.com. Email in, see what we've got, see how we can help you. All right. And if you ever get an email from Dan from those sites, then it's me. Okay. So now you know what I look like. All right. Thank you. Take care.